Mariners lose 16-6. They fall to 29-29 on the year. They lose the first two games of the series against the Rangers. They've now lost 4 of 5. Let's talk about how it happened. A very interesting football game. Rangers score a touchdown, miss the extra point. They score another touchdown, do convert the extra point and kick a field goal. Mariners score a late touchdown. 2-point conversion is no good. Holy crap on a cracker. This was ugly. You want me to talk about some positives, huh? 3 hits for Ty France. 3 reach game for Jared Kelnick. Drives in a run. Teoscar Hernandez drives in a couple of absolutely meaningless runs. Couple hits for Caballero. Julio makes a couple of real nice defensive plays. Okie dokie. Oh, are there some negatives? And unfortunately, here's a positive. Matt Festa pitched really well in his 1 inning of absolutely meaningless relief, but he did. Bryan Woo was awful. And this is what happens for most rookie pitchers, right? Baseball's hard. Baseball's a really difficult game. And it just unfortunately was a reminder of how hard it can be. And what a horrifically difficult test to have in your MLB debut to face one of the, if not the best offenses in American League right now, in the American League. I'm sorry, folks. You need to start taking the Rangers seriously. They're good. They're a good baseball team. They are a flawed baseball team, but they're a good baseball team. And they're going to get better because you are going to see that team be aggressive at the deadline. I guarantee it because they can afford to do it because they have an ownership group that's willing to spend right now. And they also have a system that is just kind of prime to make moves. They don't have like that elite prospect, that some other teams might have. There's no top 10 guy, but it's a bunch of good young prospects, good young pitchers that are going to interest folks, and some quality young bats as well. They're going to get better. And that's scary because you're talking about a team right now in the Seattle Mariners that is 8 wins behind and 9 losses behind. Yikes. Anyway, Bryan Woo, terrible. I think you saw a couple of flashes of what he can be long term. I'm more curious to see what he can do against a lineup that is not as good as Texas's. It's a very tough ask. It's a tough ask for any rookie pitcher who's coming up from AA to be a quality option. And if he does stick in the rotation, and there's no guarantee for that right now, he would be going up against the Angels. Some pretty good bats in that lineup. Beatable, certainly worse than Texas's lineup, in my personal opinion. But, woof. Not great. Not even close to great. Now you've put a lot of pressure on your rookie pitcher tomorrow or today or whenever you're watching this, probably today, because you've got Bryce Miller coming off of a dreadful start himself. Not as bad as this, but bad. Against Nathan Eovaldi, who's a Cy Young candidate right now. And yes, there are Cy Young candidates in the month of June. This is absolutely deep enough to call somebody a legit Cy Young candidate, and Eovaldi has been fantastic. I mean, this is ugly, folks. We're talking about, if not for that big dumper double in the 10th inning, we're talking about a team that has given up 10, 20, 22, 38 runs in those 4 losses, and they have scored 4, 6, 12, and 3 of those were in absolute garbage time. Count, but still. It was a 16-3 game going into that 9th inning. And if you would argue it's a 15-3 game because Mike Ford pitched the last inning of this game, folks. Got a text from my family asking why this was happening, and I explained it doesn't really matter if you lose by 10 runs or 30 runs, you might as well not waste a pitcher. And they did not. And unfortunately, Bryan Woo was not the only bad pitcher today. Sacedo really struggled. Mike Force, good for him. He got his ERA down to 9 after giving up that leadoff homer. Chris Flexen was terrible and needed to get bailed out by a terrific catch by Julio Rodriguez to make it less terrible. With that 5-run game, he now has an ERA of 7.13. And here's the thing, okay? I don't care about Chris Flexen's ERA. He's pitching in garbage time now. But the problem is Chris Flexen came into this year as a guy that not only was a potential starter, like he was somebody that it was embraced debate on whether or not you wanted Marco Gonzalez or Chris Flexen to be your fifth starter. Can you trust Chris Flexen to be a starting pitcher based on what you've seen this year? Why are you lying if you said yes? There's no reason to lie about it. You ain't got to lie to kick it. There's no way in heck you can trust Chris Flexen as a starter right now. You can't trust him as a reliever. And you certainly can't trust him to go 5 innings and give you 5 innings of 3-run baseball isn't even that good. That's a 5.40 ERA. ERA for that stat, I understand it. But there are a lot of starters you'll take 5 innings of 3-run baseball from, right? And Chris Flexen's one of them. I don't think you can get it. I'm really not sure that you can. Hell, I'm not even, swear number 11, sorry. Sorry, Pioneer Middle School, elementary school. Why should I do well if the Mariners aren't going to do well on these videos? Just an absolute you-know-what kicking, and it's not early, folks. It's not early. You are talking about a team that is on June 3rd. We are closer to the All-Star break than we are to opening day. That is now 8.5 games back of the division lead. And I don't know what their wild card standing is. We might as well look it up. I guess that's what we're doing. Golly, ESPN, please make it so I can view these things in 2 windows up. It's so hard. Wild card. You're talking about a team that's 5 games back of the third wild card spot, and you're behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams for the top wild card spot, and 4 teams for the final wild card spot. And 2 of those teams are the Astros and the Yankees, and then the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Angels. Angels are actually tied with the Mariners. I asked on Twitter today how concerned you were. If you're optimistic, if you're pessimistic, or if you're somewhere in between, right? And the results kind of surprised me. Guess I can pull those up now because I just did a 3-hour thing. Okay. Optimistic 13.7%, somewhere in between 28%, pessimistic 58.3%. I'm somewhere in between, but if you had to ask me about between the two, if you only had the choice between being optimistic or pessimistic, I'm taking pessimistic. This team does not look good. It looks really not good, borderline bad against good baseball teams. And if you don't think Texas is a good team, what the heck do you think the Seattle Mariners are? Because they're better than the Seattle Mariners. I was in a group chat. We were talking about this today, or yesterday, excuse me. How many Seattle Mariners start for the Texas Rangers right now? I think Kelnick probably starts in left field. I think Julio definitely starts in center. But they have them at third base. Or excuse me, they have them in right field. They have them at third base. They have them at shortstop. Oh my goodness gracious, do they have them at second base, first base? And then I give him the nod at catcher. Jonah Heim's a nice player, but I think Cal Raleigh's better. And designated hitter, it doesn't matter who they line up, win. So that's 6. You can make an argument for a couple of those positions. The Mariners are only clear cut better at center field right now. And then you look at the rotation. How much better is the Seattle Mariners rotation than the Texas Rangers? Better, because I think the Mariners have one of the best rotations in baseball, even with the struggles that they've had over the past week or so. Not Piedra, he's been unreal, especially lately. George Kirby, I'm taking over him. But look, their rotation's good, and they're going to get Jacob deGrom back at some point. Now, how long are they going to have Jacob deGrom back? I don't know. Can't really rely on him long term anymore. But every start you get of that dude is a blessing. And Texas is not going to go bankrupt because they overpaid or gave Jacob deGrom a big contract. Mariners' big advantage on them is the bullpen, and we're going to see Texas address that bullpen. And Seattle's bullpen ain't perfect. Could really use Andre Munoz back. But yeah, I mean, you watch them play right now, and I get it that it's June 3rd. I get it that there's a lot of baseball left to be played. I get that the Mariners were so good in the second half of last year that you have some optimism that that's going to happen again. That's fine. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. But don't try to talk me out of the fact that I do not feel good about this baseball team, and a lot of people apparently don't. I think you got to start being real aggressive here, folks. And it's hard. It's hard because, we talked about it on that show after the 10-2 throbbing that they got against the Yankees, that there just isn't a whole heck of a lot out there. Passan reported that teams are making overtures for Jonathan India and that Cincinnati is reluctant to move him. Can't blame him. Can't blame him. We'll see what happens. I think they can be talked out of it. Ellie De La Cruz is going to be coming up soon, and and that team is playing better. And the NL Central stinks. So, maybe they feel like they can make a run. I don't really see that. Probably a year away for me for Cincinnati, maybe more. But, and they've lost 3 straight now. They're playing really well. Pittsburgh's won 4 straight since coming to Seattle. Good for them. Anyway, Texas is getting better. Houston's getting better. The Angels are kind of having their yearly middle of the season, and we're not even really at the middle of the season yet. The reminder that they are who they are. Oakland apparently is a baseball team. But I just watched these first 2 games, and I come away with the fact that the Rangers are not just a better baseball team. I think they may be a clear-cut better baseball team right now. A lot can change. There are players for the Mariners who are not playing well right now that will start playing better. Right? Like Eugenio Suarez has a track record now of turning things on in the second half. At the very least, I think the power is going to start showing up for Suarez. I can't imagine that he's going to be dink and dunk throughout the season. And we even saw he hit some balls to the warning track in that series against Pittsburgh that suggests that the power is coming. And I think Ty France will have some ups. I think Julio's obviously playing a lot better now since moving to the 3 spot. There are reasons to believe the Mariners are going to play better, but I don't see a lot of reasons to believe that they're going to be playing that much better than the Texas Rangers. And that sucks. It really stinks because I really wanted to see this team compete for a division title. But now they have 2 teams to overcome, and both teams are good. Even if you don't believe in the Texas Rangers, what in the world gives you the impression that the Seattle Mariners are better than the Houston Astros right now? And maybe the winning the division doesn't matter to you. And ultimately, I wish that winning the division didn't matter to me either, because I think way too much stuff in sports gets determined by geography. It should be the best teams in baseball playing in the postseason. It should not matter. Winning the division only matters because we implied or applied a certain amount of importance to it. That's the only reason why. And the only reason divisions used to exist is because, or even exist, is because, you had these teams. It used to be hard to travel. It used to be difficult to get from Minnesota to Seattle. It's not difficult anymore, folks. The best team should make the postseason. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. And it's not changing. Divisions aren't going away. But basing stuff on geography in sports is stupid. It's stupid, especially in the year 2023 when everybody can get everywhere very quickly and comfortably. But there is an importance to it because the winner of the division guarantees that they don't have to play in the wild card round and guarantees that they're going to be at home for at least one series. Now, one division winner has to play in that wild card rounder, so I take that back. I'm sorry, but they get to play home games. If you're the wild card, you're not guaranteed home games. And you got to go play anywhere from 2 to 3 on the road and then go play on the road in the next series. No matter what. It's a big deal. And everything I see so far suggests they have no shot at winning the division. And that stinks. So tomorrow's pitching matchup, like we said, Bryce Miller against Nathan Eovaldi. I'm very curious to see how Bryce Miller bounces back. Because this is not a lineup you can just throw fastballs by. Doesn't matter how high your spin rate is. You can't throw fastballs by Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and Nathaniel Lowe and Adolis Garcia. You'll get some strikeouts for sure. They'll swing and miss with the best of them. That lineup, not so much Semien and Seager, but strikeouts will happen. But that's a good lineup. He's going to have his complete arsenal to succeed, and I'm very curious to see how he bounces back. Because I'll be honest with you, if you have another clunker, I think you might have to get aggressive on the trade market. Because who knows how long Marco Gonzalez is going to be out. And if you're relying on Semien, oh goodness gracious, do I wish they were relying on Semien. What a sighting that would have been. But John Stanton has only got so much money, folks. Not hindsight either. Wanted Marcus Semien on this team very, 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 very badly. Was surprised he got 7 years, but I wanted him on this team badly. And oh my goodness gracious, would he look nice. Outside of a 2-month stint last year, he's been one of the best baseball players in the sport for the last 3 seasons. Awesome player. Would have really helped. Anyway, if you have Marco gone and you are relying on 40% of your rotation as Bryce Miller and Bryan Woo, I think you got to be aggressive. I think you really got to be aggressive and look at some starting pitchers on the market. Didn't think if that was going to be a problem coming into the year. But that's the thing. That's the thing. You cannot rely on starting pitching depth to stay healthy. You can't expect starters to stay, all 5 of your guys to stay healthy like they had in 2021 or 2022. Bummer. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Sports Sometimes Podcast, RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Check out my imminent arrivals article every Wednesday. I'd really appreciate it. Here's hoping we have some good news to talk about tomorrow, because if this team's under 500 after tomorrow, I don't know, man. I don't know.